Have you ever noticed how unchecked emotions can ruin a decision that once felt certain? Have you seen someone lose everything in seconds due to a single impulsive moment? Maybe you've done it yourself. The truth is harsh but clear. Either you master your emotions or they will master you. And the price of that weakness is steep. Broken relationships, missed opportunities, sleepless nights, and a mind trapped in chaos. Most people today believe being overly emotional means being authentic. But the ancient Stoic warriors saw it differently. To them, that kind of emotional indulgence was weakness dressed as sincerity. Because reacting to everything isn't freedom, it's enslavement. Here lies the controversy. The more you allow yourself to explode, the further you drift from your strong, centered essence. The good news? Emotional control isn't a gift. It's a practice. And results come quickly when you apply the right principles. Imagine holding your ground when everything around you is falling apart. Speaking with clarity when others scream in confusion. Choosing wisely when everyone else is reacting on impulse. This isn't a fantasy. It's soul training. It's philosophy turned flesh. It's ancient wisdom with immediate application. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover how the Stoics mastered their emotions, weathered the storms of the soul, and turned pain into power. What you'll learn here might just change the way you feel, starting today. 1. Perception is power. Life isn't about what happens to you. It's about how you interpret what happens. This is one of the foundational pillars of Stoic philosophy. While most people live like victims of circumstance, the true disciple of virtue understands that the real battlefield is internal. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This is the essence of the Stoic call, to take control of the lens through which you see the world. Picture a man stuck in traffic. He could explode with rage, slam the steering wheel, curse everything, or he could press play on an audiobook of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and turn that delay into a moment of reflection. That's the difference between living in reaction and living by choice. Modern Stoicism isn't about controlling the world. It's about controlling how you position yourself in relation to what you can't control. And that, right there, is real power. Stoic lessons aren't poetic slogans. They're tools for spiritual sharpening. Every challenge is a training ground. Someone insulted you? Congratulations, you now have the perfect opportunity to practice patience. Got rejected? Perfect. Time to train emotional detachment. Stoic wisdom doesn't live in books. It lives in your response to daily chaos. Stoic quotes don't belong on walls. They belong in your character. The resilient mind starts with this awareness. You are not what you feel. You are what you choose to do with what you feel. That's why Stoic meditation isn't just about breathing deeply. It's about daily reflection on the quality of your thoughts. It's about looking inward before pointing fingers outward. The centered man knows the world will test his calm, but he also knows that no external storm can shake a mind anchored in truth. This selective perception becomes, over time, a superpower. The world may be on fire, but if your mind has been carved into stone, nothing can shake your core. And that's the first step, but every stone must endure time, and time carries a hidden trap: procrastination. And that is where we're heading next. 2. The warrior's triangle. Procrastination, routine, and discipline. Procrastination looks harmless. A small delay here, a little excuse there. But in Stoic philosophy, it's seen as a silent betrayal of the soul. Seneca warned, "While we delay, life speeds by." And it does, relentlessly. The disciple of virtue understands that every wasted moment is a piece of life that will never return. This isn't about rushing through life. It's about living awake. How many times have you said, "I'll start on Monday"? And how many Mondays have passed? Marcus Aurelius hammered this truth into his meditations. You could be good now, not tomorrow. Now. The Stoic call is simple. Act. Start the project. Make the call. Write the first page. Procrastination promises comfort, but delivers regret. And regret becomes sand in the shoes of those who try to walk without consistency. But how do you stay consistent without depending on motivation? That's where the power of routine comes in. The Stoic disciple acts daily, with or without feeling like it, because he understands action creates motivation, not the other way around. Picture a warrior training every single day through rain or sun. He doesn't ask himself if he feels like it. He shows up, because every repetition shapes his spirit. Routine sets you free. It sounds counterintuitive, but when you no longer have to decide whether to act or not each day, you conserve energy, avoid internal friction, and build an unshakable foundation. Designing a Stoic routine is about aligning body, mind, and soul. Choose a daily ritual that reflects your mission, and honor it like a sacred oath. That's the essence of discipline. Discipline is a sacred pact with your future self. It doesn't depend on fleeting feelings. It's built on clarity and decision. The Stoic disciple knows that every small action, repeated daily, is a brick on the path to greatness. Procrastination fades, routine becomes rhythm, and discipline becomes transformation. But not everything is about rituals. The greatest challenge still lies ahead. Defeating the silent internal enemy, self-sabotage. And that is where we go next. 3. Overcoming self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is the most subtle mental trap. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And precisely because of that, it's deadly. The disciple of virtue learns to identify it with precision. He knows a mind without direction becomes its own worst enemy. It's that quiet voice saying, "You're not ready," or "Do it later." But that voice isn't you. It's fear wearing the mask of logic, and it must be met with calm courage. The first weapon against self-sabotage is awareness. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To master yourself, you must observe. Spot the patterns. Every time you're about to level up, does a distraction appear? An excuse? An old habit? Name it. Because once you name it, you strip it of power. The centered man stares his inner saboteurs in the eye until they dissolve under the light of presence. The second step. Act despite fear. Self-sabotage thrives in the silence of inaction. Every time you hesitate, it grows. Every time you move forward, it weakens. The Stoic knows. Decision comes before confidence. Do it, even uncertain. Move forward, even uncomfortable. Because motion crushes paralysis, and action is the antidote to self-deception. Use protective rituals to guard your momentum. Start each day writing, visualizing, declaring who you choose to be. Don't wait for the world to stabilize you. Build stability from within. Self-sabotage cannot survive solid ground, and inner firmness is forged by clarity and discipline. The Stoic disciple removes excess, silences doubt, and aligns his energy. And once self-sabotage is defeated, a new enemy appears, unpredictable and very human: other people. Because Stoicism isn't just about conquering yourself, it's about staying steady amidst the chaos of others. Let's talk about that. 4. People as opportunities for virtue. Life will test you through people. The difficult co-worker, the manipulative relative, the aggressive customer. But what if, instead of enemies, these people were soul-forging tools? The disciple of virtue understands that friction reveals what still needs polishing. Patience, courage, justice. These virtues aren't born in comfort. They emerge when you're pushed up against the rough edges of others. Imagine being constantly interrupted during a conversation. The impulse is to lash out, but the centered man sees it as a chance to practice self-control. A calm response, a strategic silence, a firm stance, all become training. Stoicism isn't passivity, it's mastery. Mastery that turns confrontation into transformation. When facing someone harsh, respond with presence. That disarms and elevates. Epictetus was a slave, but never a victim. He never let the harshness of others invade his peace. No one can harm your soul without your permission. That's gold. It teaches that no matter how hostile your surroundings, your real power lies in how you respond. Emotional maturity is measured by this internal freedom. In today's world of online noise, criticism and opinion come like arrows. But the Stoic doesn't bend to shallow judgment. He's anchored in integrity. If you want to train virtue in the modern world, start by observing how you react to people. Are you acting from wisdom or a bruised ego? The answer defines your evolution. And when someone really gets under your skin, pause and ask, was this soul placed on my path as a gym for my patience? That shift changes everything. It turns pain into purpose. And once you master that, you unlock the next level, finding stillness, even when your world is on fire. 5. Inner stillness amid chaos. The world screams. The disciple of virtue whispers. In the rush, the noise, the pressure, few master the art of inner silence. It's not the absence of sound, it's the absence of reactivity. It's staying centered while everything outside burns. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, sought this peace daily in his writing. He knew true leadership begins within. This skill can be trained, and it starts with something simple: conscious breathing. When life throws you off, don't react. Breathe, observe, create space between the trigger and the response. Neuroscience agrees. Between stimulus and response, there's a gap. And in that gap lives your freedom. The Stoic cultivates that gap like sacred ground. That's where power is chosen over impulse. You don't need a mountain retreat to practice this. Inner silence can be accessed in traffic, in meetings, in the face of criticism. It's a portable refuge, but it requires training. It demands vigilance. It's choosing not to drown in your own thoughts. The Stoic listens more, speaks less, and responds with precision. He's not trying to win arguments. He's trying to win himself. This silence becomes strength, an invisible force that radiates clarity, presence, and moral authority. Where others get lost in noise, the Stoic remains lucid. And in that lucidity, something profound becomes clear: purpose. When the noise fades, the mission speaks. And when you hear that call, everything around you starts making sense. Let's go there. 6. Mission over distraction. To live without a mission is to drift on autopilot. The disciple of virtue doesn't walk in circles. He walks with direction, even if the road is hard. Having a clear mission is like having a lighthouse. It guides your choices and protects you from distractions disguised as opportunities. In a world where everyone wants everything, knowing what truly matters is a superpower. This mission isn't driven by ego, it's born from the soul. It's something that burns, pulls, and directs. The centered man filters shine from value. He knows focus isn't saying yes to everything. It's having the courage to say no to the urgent but meaningless. He lives for purpose, not applause. That's why he's not lost in the noise of others' expectations. The Stoics practice daily self-examination. What did I do today that moved me closer to my mission? What pulled me away? This brutal honesty is liberating. The disciple of virtue would rather face hard truths than live in comforting lies. Every distraction avoided is a love letter to your mission. Every intentional yes is a signature of alignment. Living by mission brings peace. Because when you know why you're doing something, the how and when become manageable. A clear mission turns obligation into honor, sacrifice into joy, and effort into legacy. But for that mission to stay alive, you must protect it. That means learning to say no. 7. Saying no to what weakens you. Saying yes to everything is saying no to yourself. The disciple of virtue understands that every choice requires a sacrifice. That's why he learns the art of refusal, not out of arrogance, but integrity. Saying no to what weakens your soul is an act of protection. Toxic friendships, destructive habits, hollow commitments, they must be cut without guilt. What doesn't strengthen you sabotages you. Protecting your energy is a spiritual discipline. The modern world offers distractions like poisoned candy, social media, cheap promises, fleeting cravings, all fight for your attention. But the Stoic hears what truly matters. He refuses what doesn't build him. He treats time, energy, and focus as sacred, because they are. This conscious no is the key to freedom. Freedom to be who you are without needing approval. Freedom to guard your peace, even if it disappoints others. Freedom to stay the course, even if everyone else is lost. And that freedom only exists when your no is guided by values, not emotion. The centered man filters decisions through one lens. Does this strengthen me or drain me? If it drains, he lets go. If it strengthens, he commits. He never trades his principles for social comfort. He says no to mediocrity disguised as ease, because every compromise against your essence weakens the spirit, and when the spirit weakens, chaos returns. But there's an even deeper level of strength, refusing to ever betray your core, no matter the pressure. Let's talk about that. Never betray your principles. The real test of virtue doesn't come when it's easy to be moral, but when the world demands you break your code. When fear tightens, when temptation whispers, when pressure becomes unbearable, that's when integrity reveals itself. And in those moments, the disciple of virtue does not bend. He anchors himself to his values like a rock, because he knows a man who sells out for comfort will never be free. To trade your principles for status, approval, or ease is to sign a contract with weakness. The centered man would rather lose the world than lose his soul. He acts with honor even when no one is watching, because his judge is internal. He doesn't follow what's popular. He follows what's right. Even if he walks alone, he walks with power, because his path is rooted in virtue. Pressure may come from all sides: family, co-workers, scarcity, doubt. But the Stoic remains, not out of pride, but loyalty to his essence. He knows every compromise chips away at the soul, and every preserved principle builds unseen muscle. The cost of staying true may be high, but the cost of self-betrayal is destruction. Being ethical when life is smooth is easy, but holding your ground when it costs everything, that's where warriors are forged. And when he chooses right under risk, he becomes someone the world can try to break, but never destroy. His integrity isn't for sale. Never was, never will be. And because he lives this way, he develops something rare and unshakable, a presence that speaks for itself. That's our final key. 9. The invisible force of presence. The Stoic disciple doesn't shout. He doesn't force. His presence speaks. It's a silent power born from mastering himself. It doesn't come from titles or trophies. It comes from a soul that has faced its shadows and remained standing. While others run from discomfort, responsibility, or reality, he stays. He inhabits the moment like a king in his throne, grounded, sharp, awake. Being present is an act of courage. It means not hiding behind distractions, not numbing out with vices, not letting your mind wander like an untamed beast. The centered man sharpens his attention like a blade, because he knows life's battles are won by those fully engaged in the now. He is whole wherever he stands. This invisible force shows up in subtle ways, in deep listening, in firm eye contact, in deliberate action. It shifts environments. It earns trust. It radiates authority without demand. Where others escape, the Stoic stays. He faces hard conversations, owns his responsibilities, and stares into the silence of now, with strength. Because his peace doesn't depend on calm surroundings, it's born from full presence amid the storm. Most people drift, numbed, half awake. Not him. He breathes with intention, observes deeply, acts with clarity, and that makes him rare. And the rare transform. He doesn't seek recognition, but he leaves an impact. Because where he arrives, things shift, not through force, but through truth. And with that invisible strength, we come to the final moment. Because the true revolution doesn't start outside, it begins within. Now it's your turn. Dozy, the choice is yours. Let me ask you directly. How long will you keep being a slave to emotions that weaken you? How long will you excuse your explosions by saying, "That's just how I am"? The warrior within you is ready to rise, and it starts with a simple choice. Stop reacting. Start responding. Will you take control, or let anger, fear, and anxiety keep driving your life? How many bad decisions have you made by acting in the heat of the moment? How many people have you pushed away? How many chances have you lost? How many goals have you sabotaged because you didn't master yourself? It's time to change the game, not tomorrow, now. Because every day you don't practice self-control, you're rehearsing your own downfall. And the cost is too high. Stoicism isn't a cold philosophy. It's an urgent wake-up call, a fire inside your soul, a challenge to build day by day an inner fortress no one can shake. And the path is right here in front of you. Will you keep running? Or will you meet your destiny head-on? If this message hit you deep, subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notifications. Here, every video is a step toward your greatness. But remember, this journey only works if you walk it. The choice is yours. Master your emotions or be destroyed by them.